we talked about how like women are waiting until they're 30 now. I don't know what is the statistic similar to men.
So like it's 29 and 30 and 30 and 31 and I forget. I think men 31 and women 30. I believe that's what James Sexton said last time I talked to him.
Okay, so what's the epidemic now when these men are like in their 30s? So because you said it evens out over time.
Yeah,
like at some point they find
the problem is the high divorce rate. So like fewer people want to participate in divorce and in marriage, and then divorce gets 56% divorce rate. That means something's wrong. If you had a 56% default rate, where people were taking loans out,
no one's giving me a loan.
Yeah, no one's giving you a loan. Like for some reason that seems to work. If you were to ask if you were to ask an attorney, what is the single biggest financial agreement me as a man am going to get into in my entire life?
Marriage.
Is it my house or my car? It is your marriage.
Yep.
And yet you are far more informed on the financial details of your car and your house than you are in your marriage. In your marriage, you will get married with no education, no prenup, no nothing. And I recommend people go speak to a divorce attorney before they get married so that it helps them stay married. I also think this is going to be really controversial.
Most people get married broke though, so it does
sure.
like a prenup ain't.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's another thing. I will say this. I think prenups will help marriages stay together in a lot of cases. Very similar to how you'll see in neighborhoods where people have fences and there's like dual gun ownership, that you have the lowest level of crime because people like, no one's going to rob us. It's like we have boundaries. I think when people have boundaries, like they understand the boundaries of the world. You have boundaries. Your wife doesn't cheat on you. You don't cheat on your wife. That is a boundary. No matter what people say, you have boundaries in your relationship.
Oh, we for sure do.
If your wife's like, hey, I just want to let you know, assalamu alaikum, I've converted to Islam.
Yeah.
This is a problem, honey. We got to deal with this. That's a boundary.
Yeah.
Having those boundaries helps a relationship. Having it like where there is no incentive for someone to break out of the relationship through a prenup, the prenup should de-incentivize both parties from divorcing. Or the prenup should de-incentivize both parties from cheating. If you do that, I think that can actually help the situation. And so that's where there's a problem. It's like men are now getting married at 30 and they're getting married to women who don't really want them, who are like settling. Sheryl Sandberg, she had the quote is like, hey, when you're young, date them all, date the hot guy and the fun guy. But when you're older, date the guy who thinks that taking out the trash is sexy or whatever. And it's like, bro, I'm supposed to wait while you run through all these dudes. And then when I'm 30, I'm going to settle down with you after you've been through all these, after you've rocked the bartender. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking wait. That's crazy. And so the thing is, if you believe men should wait, then there is no crisis. But the divorce rate is skyrocketing.
Do you know, is there a divorce rate statistic for if you get married in your 20s versus 30s for the first time?
Yes, so it's higher divorce rate between 20 and 25. It lowers between 25 and 32, and then after 32, it goes back up.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's not a huge.
It's not like it just doesn't matter.
Divorce in general is pretty prevalent with all marriages, but there's another interesting statistic. This is one that really pisses people off. So there's a 56% divorce rate, and 80% of divorces are initiated by women. So
80%?
80%. So when I 70 to 80%. Whenever I talk to women about this, their obvious next reaction is, well, of course, because it's the men's fault. The men do this, the men do that, the men do whatever. And I'm like, okay, what if we ran an experiment where we controlled for men? So a way to do that would be to look at same-sex couples, gay men and lesbian women. What is their divorce rate? So what should happen is, if it's men's fault, is that homosexual men should get divorced at a higher rate than lesbian women. And the opposite is true. Lesbians get divorced at twice the rate that homosexual men do. So when women don't even have men to blame, they are leaving marriages faster than men are. That shows that there is an issue. Where does that issue come from? I personally believe it is stimulus, that it comes from the incredible amount of options that women believe they have from social media and from dating apps.
Do you think that, my opinion would be, women are more emotional than men?
Sure.
And when you're emotional, you make emotional decisions?
Yes. You also make things up. You also like you looked over at a car and there was a girl standing by it, and your wife's like, "Why are you looking at that girl?" And you're like, "I wasn't." It's like, "Why are you lying to me?" I was like, "I'm not lying to you. I wasn't even looking at her." That kind of thing, where it's just made up, that may be more prevalent in lesbian relationships than in homosexual relationships, which is part of the reason why. That's just theory why that's happened. I've definitely been in relationships before where a woman feels something and now she starts attributing
my theory would be
to
just
me.
Emotions. Like, I just think
for sure
you just make spur of the moment decisions when you're emotional.
Right, but what you wouldn't see though then is a decline in marriage and then a 56% divorce rate. If that was something that the problem is, there's issues that always happen, but then when social media came out, these issues got exacerbated, and the exacerbation is because of the social media. That's the point.
And I agree with you. I think that part has gone up because of discontent of thinking like this is what the ideal life is. I see this guy or this girl and, you know, everything looks perfect on social media and my life's not like, so it's social media has made comparing, you know, this thing that now is causing more, dissatisfaction with your life when it's just.
In general, there's more dissatisfaction. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Because we don't have gratitude because we don't live in a survival scenario anymore. You have gratitude because I saw your sales team is right next to your office. I do the same thing. One of my sales guys lives with me. Right?
Yep.
My next door neighbor, 2 more sales guys live over there.
Yep.
I'm so grateful that I'm changing their lives too. And I'm so grateful when guys come back to me and like, hey man, you changed my life. You've really helped me a lot. There's a lot of people in our situations that would be like, all of my needs are cared for and I'm just dissatisfied with life. You'll see that like a great example would be the Charlie Sheen situation. Highest paid actor on television. Everyone thinks you're good looking. Everyone thinks you're funny. And you're literally playing yourself on TV. Like think about the amazing validation you get from that, where you win awards and you're getting paid more than everyone else. So what do? Do you show gratitude or no? Do you go have unprotected sex with porn stars and smoke crack until you get AIDS? That's what he actually did. That's a complete and total lack of gratitude for your situation.
Yeah.
And so some people have gratitude. If you do so, then you're good. But for a lot of people, it's like, I don't know why I'm depressed. I'm like, well, you didn't hunt for food today. You just pushed a button and then food showed up.
You want to know something interesting? Yeah. I agree with that, with the gratitude thing. Well, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, which is ironic about this whole gratitude thing. But I've been doing my morning routine for about 7 or 8 years now. And in part of that, it's writing 3 things I'm grateful for. Yeah. And I used to think it was voodoo. I'm like, dude, I ain't doing that. Like, this affirmation stuff is stupid. And I just started doing it 8 years ago. And sure enough, you know, every day I've done it without missing a beat. And like, you just realize every day, you're like, man, yeah, do I have problems? For sure. But you just write things you're grateful for. And so then I started to implement this into my company 2 months ago. I said, hey, every day at 9 a.m., every team is having their own morning meeting. And you're going to run it the same way I run, like basically my morning routine. Everyone's going to come around and share something they're grateful for in the team meeting. That's the first thing we're going to start with. After that, we're going to go like shout somebody out, like who did a great job and who's, you know, whatever, right? Exemplifying our core values. From there, we're going to go talk about the agenda for the day. Hey, here's what we're trying to accomplish as a team. Let's get ready. And then we're going to end in prayer. And that's just now what we do. Takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it has changed everything so significantly in great ways. But like one of the things is it's caused some people to leave.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then some people, well, actually not some, anyone else who has stayed is like, dude, this is so good.
Yeah. That is the best. If people have problems with gratitude, there's a couple things I always tell them. Before the year 1850, half the Earth's population died before the age of 5. But there was a point right now, you are living on a planet where half of the Earth's population lives on less than $1 a day. There's points during the Spanish flu, 60 million people died of that pandemic. Before 1937, there were no broad spectrum antibiotics. So if you like cut your arm, you might have to have your arm taken off. You want to be grateful? Be grateful you live in this time. That should be enough gratitude for you. You live in North America.
But social media makes it hard.
Isn't it crazy? When you consider half the Earth's population lives on $1 a day right now.
Yeah.
When you actually, if you spend some time, go to the Congo or go to Managua in Peru, spend some time in those places and you will absolutely come back with unbelievable levels of gratitude. You just don't even understand, like living in poverty in this country, you still have better medical care than the King of England did in the 17th century. Like
you have a better life than the king.
For sure. It just the level of gratitude. Like again, right now I have limitless information. Now, some of it could be fake, but I have limitless information.
I have limitless stats. I could throw stat.
For sure.
You're like Ty Lopez. That guy will.
That's why me and Ty get along so much.
That guy's a walking statistic.
Yeah, he is, right? So the thing with this, like I have unlimited amounts of information, like all the data ever compiled throughout human history. I could just look it up right now, right? And here's the other thing. You want gratitude? How about this? The works of the greatest minds of all time, you can buy each one of their works on Audible for $12 and listen to them while you're in your car. You can listen to them at 1.5 speed or double speed. You can listen to the greatest minds of all time while you're in your car for one credit, which is like $12.
And the new greatest minds of today are just making content to tell you.
Oh no, you can get their content for free.
No,
on
I
YouTube.
know, but it's up to date today.
And listen to that at double speed. I listen to all your stuff at double speed. Like your ability to procure incredible amounts of data and live a comfortable life. If you have a problem with gratitude, man, just consider that. Like life was suffering like 100 years ago. Horrible. And when you consider you belong to a species that's 200,000 years old, and just in the last, I don't know, 50 years, things have been kind of good. That's, I mean, the concept that you even have the freedom. And here's the other thing. Consider this. You and I, if we were talking to a young kid, 20, 22 years old, and you're like, what can I do to become wealthy? Think of all the options we could give him. Think of all the different ways he could make money and live an incredible lifestyle. Like, think of all the Now, think about the same kid grows up in Des Moines in 1921. What the is he going to do? He's going to be a farmer. That's it. That's all he's got.
Yeah.
Bro, the problem that happens is if you really consider all the incredible ways you have to succeed right now, you'll be incredibly grateful. But if all you do is look at the Lamborghini you don't own on Instagram, you're not going to be grateful.
Yep.
You're going to feel horrible. It's going to make you feel terrible.
I think it all just goes back to, as humans, we are always going to find whatever the problem is with like the great thing, right? Because to your point, the guy in Iowa, he's being a farmer.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Now, you would think that that's a negative thing, but the pro to that is this dude don't have to like wrestle with decision. Like he's going to be a farmer.
Yes.
He knows his path and he's going to do it.
Probably happier.
Yeah. And today, people are like, well, dude, Ryan, you said I should do real estate. This guy says I should trade stocks. This guy says I should create a personal brand. And like, they're all super confused. That is the number one thing I see with these young entrepreneurs is they are so confused on what path to take because they see all these paths.
Yes.
And then guess what? They try to take one path. And the problem is, guess what? You don't get instant success.
Yes.
You have to like stay with the path. And so they don't have instant success. And they're like, well, dude, he had instant success. The path is wrong. Real estate can't be it.
Do you remember points building this business you have where you experienced explosive growth and just like this was so exciting, and you kind of can't go back and ever experience that again? Like firsts. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
First time you hit 7 figures.
Yeah.
First time you hit 8. When those first, you can't go back. Isn't it like if you think of somebody who's going on that journey who's like 10 years behind you, like I'm actually jealous for those people. I'm like, man, I wish I could go back and do those things.
It's like
again.
seeing a movie for the first time.
Bro, and I wish I could go back and like I wish I could forget Moby Dick and Catch 22 and some of my favorite novels of all time. I wish I could unremember all of Game of Thrones so I could reread the whole thing again for the first time, right? But those guys get to go through that journey. So for you and me looking at those guys like, man, sky's the limit. When people know what we know, but they're 21 years old, I'm so jealous of them, man. They have so much that they're going to do, so many mistakes they're not going to make that we made. And so when I look at that, I'm like, the journey, you should have gratitude for the journey. And these people don't. They're like, well, I tried this one thing and it didn't work. Like, wasn't that awesome? You got to fail faster. That's so great. Like for me, I look at the journey that I'm on, and I'm just so grateful for the journey that I get to go on the way to success. When you look at it like that, you just realize that it's a function of perspective.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, it's a function. So if you ever met, so I grew up in Texas.
Gratitude is all based on perspective.
I grew up in Texas, and I would meet these families, and clearly they were illegal immigrants living in the country. Children were born in the U.S., so they would like go to high school with me, and I meet their parents, and their parents were illegal, and they were so much happier than my rich friends. They were happier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, if they can be happy and you have all this and you're unhappy, that makes people even more depressed when they think about it, right? But I want you to consider like Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain got to travel the world and talk to incredible people and eat in unbelievable meals with just the most fascinating people in history. And he killed himself in a like $20,000 a night suite in Paris, France. He hung himself. When you consider like how incredibly awesome Anthony Bourdain's life was, for him to take his own life, you understand that gratitude and happiness is simply a function of perspective. It's one of the main modules we teach in my course is this whole thing. And then from there, you can have gratitude and still be ambitious. Like when I see someone doing better than me, it's not an emotional reaction. It's like, okay, now I'm excited. You watch basketball at all?
Yep.
Victor Wembanyama.
Yep.
Like he's incredible. He's 7'4". The kid's killing it. He's doing really well, but he's not a first team All NBA yet. when somebody beats his ass, when they look, because the Spurs are losing like left and right, do you think he looks at these other guys and like, man, that sucks. Kevin Durant's so much better than me. Or do you think in his mind, he's like, I can't wait to whip his ass.
Yep.
That's what he's
thinking. He knows
thinking.
it's part of the process.
He knows it's part of the process, and he knows he's going to beat their. Some guys are like Luka, like come out of the box and they're already killing everyone. But some guys are like Victor Wembanyama, and they already know, and everyone else in the league looks at him and they're like, dude, you're going to kill all of us.
Yeah.
You're going to dominate this entire league. And so that's the type of situation. Whenever I see someone doing better than me, like I learned so much from watching Wes Watson and you and Brad Lee and watching Ryan Stewman and watching Dan Fleischman and watching Bilzerian. Like I learned so much from watching you guys, and all of you are doing fantastic. And at no point do I think, man,
my life sucks.
Like Wes Watson's on his like 4th Phantom now. Like damn, bro. And he's got a house in San Diego and he's got another one in Miami. No, all I'm thinking of is, man, if Wes can do this, dude, Wes went to jail for 10 years for attempted murder. And if Wes can do this, bro, and I'm out there doing burpees every day, and I said I'll do burpees, I'll send it to Wes or whatever. And it's just like, and then I think about the gratitude. Like I can just text Wes Watson. How awesome is that? Like I can just text Ty Lopez whenever I want. That's incredible. You text Alex Hormozy. Like that's incredible, man. I could just, like, if I have a question about some things, like I can just text Bilzerian. Like I could just, like, that's an incredible thing. I have so much gratitude for my situation, and compared to you guys, I'm like down here, and I'm still incredibly grateful for it. And so that's the thing. If you have that perspective, it's just so much easier. Your life, you're so much happier, and the journey is fun.
Yeah.
And then the thing, what you'll find is that, like, when you have the 8-figure bank account, you're not that much happier.
Yeah.
You aren't. But that struggle on the way up was so much fun.
Yeah.
And so just appreciate that on the way up.